civilization is to survive, we must cultivate the science of human relationships, the ability of all peoples, of all kinds, to live together in the same world at peace. This is a quote by Franklin Roosevelt that I believe perfectly captures the spirit of my speech. With globalization, we have all been exposed to different ideas, thoughts, and cultures that many times contrast with ours. The internet has accelerated this process. However, the idea itself is not new. Historians believe that humanity has been trading goods since the 3rd millennium before Christ. And since then, it has been divided into 3 main waves. The first one with the industrialization, the second one with the reconstruction of society after the Second World War, and the third one with the internet, and we're still in it today. How can we define this so widely discussed theme that is globalization? Well, we can say that is when we trade not only goods and services, but also ideas, thoughts, and cultures between civilizations. Culture is a very broad concept, but in simple terms is our language, our laws, our values, and what we expect from others and what others expect from us. Anyone who has lived in another country knows this feeling. When you move abroad and you meet someone from your own country, you get almost an instant connection. You get to speak your mother tongue again, and according to scientists, your personality may even change a little bit according to the language you're speaking. Even if Brazilians and Portuguese speak the same language, when I meet another person from Brazil, I get to say things like "sussa," which means it's okay or there's no problem. We fall into cultural codes that feel natural and safe. Culture creates belonging, but this also happens online. We love to see posts that celebrate our nation, and because of the way that the algorithm works, those posts get spread very quickly, and they are shown to people who may have never encountered our culture before. Suddenly, they are exposed to a new way of doing things, new music, new cuisine, new thoughts, and they get intrigued by it. And suddenly, curiosity becomes engagement. A great example of this is the global rise of K-pop. Although Korean artists had already gained regional recognition, through platforms like TikTok, they amplified their reach dramatically, and today rank amongst the most streamed artists in the world, like BTS or Blackpink. And this was also great for South Korea. They grew economically, are now seen as an innovative and creative nation, and have more power on the global stage. And this shows that music is a great way to mix cultures together. We can mix different genres and styles from different countries and come up with new ways of musical expressions. However, there are risks of cultural appropriation and loss of authenticity. When we try to make a culture to be widely known, we risk diluting its profound meaning and subject it to processes like homogenization and westernization. For example, in Brazil, we have that problem with cinema. We tend to glorify American movies and take them more seriously than Brazilian ones, even if those are the ones that actually portray our culture. However, I'm not saying that globalization is a bad thing. Actually, quite the contrary. I think it has enriched our lives very much. And a great example of this is sushi. Sushi is a deeply cultural food that today exists in global variations, and you can taste it pretty much everywhere. And today, multinational companies like McDonald's change their menus to the country's culture. For example, McDonald's changed their menus to be vegetarian in India. This shows that cultures are not static. They change and evolve according to time, just like language. Today, English is known as the global language. It allows people from the most various corners of the world to communicate with each other, like we're doing right now. And because English is so widely spoken today, we have a very funny phenomenon that we use English expressions even when we're not speaking English. In Portuguese, we tend to say things like lock in or we're cooked all the time. And I'm sure many here also use those expressions or others even when they're not speaking English. Multinational educational programs like Erasmus are a great way to gain empathetic to other cultures and to lose prejudices that we once had against them. In Erasmus, you really immerse yourself in another culture because you live in their country. Globalization has given us many opportunities. It allows a person that lives in a small town in Brazil to try Chinese food, to wear clothes that were made in another continent, and to read a book that was written halfway across the world. We become more empathetic. We learn that everyone feels anger, sorrow, happiness, has ambitions and dreams just like we do. We grow intellectually and emotionally, and we expand our horizons. Moving countries made me see the beauty of globalization in a deeply and personal way. It made me see that when we move countries, when we travel, or even when we just interact culturally, we try on a culture for a size. Sometimes it fits and it feels comfortable and enriching. Other times it challenges us. However, every single time we will learn something about others and about ourselves. And perhaps that is the essence of modern civilization, learning how to celebrate rather than trying to erase our differences. My name is Heloísa Sikler, and thank you for listening.